listening to Season 8 of the award-winning Homemade Matters podcast.
Brought to you from the West Midlands in the UK.
We're just a regular family of 5 on a home education journey, and we want to share our journey with you and encourage you on yours.
So thanks for joining us, and here's this week's episode.
Well, hi everybody.
Hi.
Welcome to
Homemade Matters.
Season 8.
Episode 13.
Episode 13 already.
Don't know why I'm singing it.
I know, yeah. Wow, it's very dramatic. La 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 la. So my name is Luke.
And my name is Eden.
And thank you so much for listening in. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
You were just saying to me that we've got a really long list of things to
Yeah.
cover in our show notes, written on the back of an envelope in biro.
Yeah.
Why don't we start with a science topic? So we moved on from anatomy, didn't we?
We have. We've started chemistry.
We're doing chemistry, which we're really enjoying. And you're
Yes.
reading a book called
The
World of Chemistry,
except we're calling it History of Chemistry.
by John Hudson Tyner.
Yeah.
And we mentioned last time how much you've all been enjoying the periodic table song in the morning.
Yeah.
But you learnt a really interesting fact today about a metal.
Yes, so potassium, it's very light, its chemical symbol is K, and when you put it in water, it causes the water to burn because the water molecules, it strips the oxygen from the water molecules, which frees the hydrogen gas, and all of the heat causes the hydrogen gas to ignite, and it causes the water to burn.
That's pretty amazing, isn't it? The power of a chemical reaction.
Very cool.
Very, very cool. So are you enjoying that?
I am, yeah. It's kind of longer than History of Medicine, like the chapters, but it's very interesting.
Yeah, so it's one of your reads in the morning.
Yes, it is.
Do you read
on Monday?
Just read it on Monday, yeah. So Monday's Science Day, is it?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Kind of. It's all spread out through the week with Daddy.
Is it?
Yeah, because we do chemistry on Wednesday.
Have you done any interesting experiments recently then?
Flowed, Dad. Anyway, we did the one with splitting water, but I can't remember if we've already done that.
I don't think we talked about it. So how did we talk about it?
You know, with the battery and the wires.
Oh, yeah.
And then pencils in the water.
I think we did talk about that. Yeah, we have talked about that one. Yeah, it was a good one.
Yeah.
So
there is one that we did though, Daddy. So Mummy got some lemonade, and we didn't think the experiment would work, and we put it in this tiny jar.
So lemonade in a tiny jar.
Yeah, and then you added salt, I think it was, to it.
Yeah.
And we didn't think it was gonna work, but the salt. I think it was salt. It would like push the oxygen out of the way, and it would cause it to all fizz up and explode. And we didn't think it would work, but it did work, and it went all over the table.
Oh yeah, well that's a pretty good experiment.
Yeah.
Nice and simple.
Might have talked about that one too.
Oh, I didn't think so.
Remember.
So you're also all three of you doing some Shakespeare recitation.
Yes.
Reciting. So rather than learning it, you're reciting it.
Yeah.
And it is from the Scottish play
Macbeth.
Are you also studying Macbeth in your Shakespeare club?
I am.
So give us a snippet, if you can remember it, of your recitation.
It's basically it's Macbeth's despair when Lady Macbeth dies, and I think it should be acted really dramatically.
But he's in despair.
But
so this is the challenge, isn't it? So you've been dramatically doing it, but maybe it needs to be a little bit more toned down.
That's what Mummy's been saying. But it's hard because you're supposed to act something. You can't just...
But part of acting is sometimes acting sad, not always dramatic.
And I can act sad, Daddy. Just as I act sad in a dramatic way.
Yeah, you're dramatically sad. Can you remember any of it, or do you have to read it?
We have to read it, because we've only done it for like 2 times.
And in your Shakespeare club, you mentioned this morning that you've been discussing about Lady Macbeth.
Yeah, we've basically been debating about whether she's evil or not. Because we don't know if Macbeth would have actually killed King Duncan this is
spoiler
spoilers.
Alert. Even though it was written in, 16 whatever.
Yeah, should have read it by now. It's been out for 400 years. Or more. But yeah, when Macbeth kills King Duncan, I've completely forgotten what I was talking about now.
Was it Lady Macbeth?
Yeah, we were talking about whether Macbeth would have killed King Duncan if Lady Macbeth hadn't egged him on. And so in the group we're kind of debating about whether she's evil or not, and we've spent 2 weeks on it.
2 weeks debating whether she's evil.
Yeah, and now...
I'll tell you who is evil not in Shakespeare. but
Umbridge
Dolores
and
Umbridge.
Yeah.
She is honestly worse than Voldemort in Harry Potter, if you ask
Yeah.
me. Well,
But she doesn't kill Williams.
no,
Millions.
true. Right then, so lots of other things to talk about. We got something exciting in the post recently, which was a certificate for the Royal Horticultural Society
Yes.
School Gardening Awards.
And if we get
Level
higher,
1.
And if we get higher, then we get voucher things.
Yeah. So we for level 1, we had to set out what our plans were and that kind of thing. And we also got a fab planting calendar, didn't we?
Did we?
Yeah, it's on the board by the back
I
door.
thought that was the one me and Mummy got from Sainsbury's. Oh no, that one's. Oh.
Yeah, we got one from the RHS, which is really cool.
Yeah.
So we've also then applied for our level 2 award.
Yes.
Now, so what were some of the things that you did in the garden?
I did some
as part of
hoeing
that?
in the garden, and
preparing our raised beds.
And it didn't actually take very long. And Mummy took a photo of me doing it.
Yeah.
And she's also taken photos of the border and things, I think.
Yeah, well, because I've been keeping track of the things we've been doing each month, and we've done lots already
Have
this
we?
month. Yeah,
Oh,
lots
good.
of clearing.
Yeah.
So really looking forward to that. So Mirabelle in a bit is going to talk about the things she's growing. But you and I were literally just talking about what we're going to do in the flower border.
Yeah, we were, yeah. And we're going to plant these things called elephant ears.
Yeah, there's a lovely kind of plant called elephant ears that will be mean to plant out.
Yeah, and they look like elephant ears.
And we've got loads of big irises, haven't we, that are amazing. They like like big, kind of like tongue-shaped green foliage all year round.
They look like they're from dinosaur times.
They probably are quite an old design, but they're all in their kind of self-seeded positions. So I think now's the time we're going to move them all into a bit of structure.
Yeah.
Because they're crowding out some of the things we planted at the back. Can you remember some of the things we planted at the back?
There was dogwood.
Yeah, the dogwood, which is, what colour is it?
It's like a
Bright
deep
red,
red.
yeah.
Yeah. Like
Can you remember anything
blackcurrant
else?
juice. It's been a long time. There was that rose there, but you dug it out.
I drug the really prickly rose out, but I've kept the nice rose. But what I ordered actually recently, we've got 5 new roses, haven't we?
And they're going to be so good. Come on, Bear.
And we've potted them into bigger pots, ready. So that's really nice.
Yeah.
Really looking forward to that. Do look up the Royal Horticultural Society School Gardening Awards.
Yeah.
We do like a nice certificate.
We do.
And we do
We want to
like
get
a
the
nice
next one
application.
on that board.
Yeah, so that's good. And next on our list, I think in our last episode we'll talk about the fencing that had been done, and we had the tree surgeons coming to grub out some roots.
Ah, yes.
One of our neighbours has already given us
a scaffold
board. He's a roofer.
Thank you.
So hopefully we're going to get a load more scaffold boards, and then we can finish making our raised beds.
Yes.
And then we also need to create that area for the new greenhouse.
Yeah, it's just gone really bright in here all of a sudden.
The sun has come out.
Finally.
It's been super windy, hasn't it? We'll talk about that
stormy.
in part 2. You went on a fantastic tour with Mummy.
Yeah, I did. It was so cool.
Tell
I
us
loved
all
it.
about it.
We got to go to a Grand Theatre, and it was amazing.
So the Grand Theatre is in Wolverhampton.
It's called the Wolverhampton.
The Wolverhampton Grand Theatre. So when was it opened?
In the 1800s.
Like the 1800s.
So they've been open 127 years. And the tour guide, he asked if we knew how long it had been open for. And I said 125 years because I'd seen it on one of the signs. And he asked if I'd seen it on one of the signs, and I said yes.
So it is a proper functioning theatre.
It was amazing. We got to see dressing rooms, and I got to stand on the actual stage.
That's so good. Because that's where we went to see School of Rock.
Yes.
Of which the musical is better than the film. Interestingly.
According to you.
Yeah, the film wasn't very good. Not as many songs.
But
and
he wants me to throw his ball.
We're not going to throw your ball because we are recording a podcast. We can't have you rushing around barking. So tell us, I mean, obviously, regular listeners will know how much you enjoy drama.
Yes.
And you've got a play coming up soon. So what were some of the things that really struck you about being backstage at a real working theatre?
How it's chaotic chaos, organised chaos. And everyone has to be so silent because, it can't interrupt the show. And also the dressing rooms were so cool.
Were they?
Yeah.
Really awesome. And
but they were right near the audience, the grand circle. So you would have to be super quiet because they were literally right next door.
And we're going to go in May, hopefully, and see one of the books that we've read recently.
Well, kind of recently.
Animal Farm. Which has got, is a bit like the Warhorse production, I think, with the animals are sort of puppets puppet animals, realistic puppet animals.
Yeah.
So we were looking forward to that.
I thought there would be like people acting with like pig ears and stuff.
Well, I don't think. Well, maybe
'Cause
there
how
was
are
some
they
of that,
gonna-
but they're
'cause
they're
how-
really realistic. Did you ever see the? Didn't you watch
watched
the
the
video of the
warhorse.
warhorse of where they were
Yeah, we did,
controlling
yeah.
the animal?
Yeah,
and it makes
we
it
watched-
look realistic. So I think
Yeah.
it's like that.
Yes, because I was just thinking that would be a lot. You'd only be able to get like 5 animals on stage.
Well, that's going to be part of the interesting thing. Then we'll learn.
Yeah.
We'll go and see that.
Interesting.
Now you
So, yeah,
also
it was
did
very
something
good.
really, really fun. So for
yeah.
winding back, the other year, one of your lockdown friendships was with a neighbour, and
Yeah.
for your birthday or for Christmas, I can't remember.
Birthday.
She gave you a fantastic poster where you scratch off
Yes, the
things,
books you
100 top children's books.
Yes.
Now you gave something similar to a friend of yours for her birthday.
read. Yeah.
Which
so it
was?
was 100 bakes, and it looked so good that I had to get one myself, and so I bought one for myself too.
And then the weekend, you invited her over.
Yes,
And you spent, honestly, 4 hours in the kitchen.
free.
Over 3 hours in the kitchen. I was just working in my head and I realised, yes, it is 3.
Yeah, otherwise we would be working till like 5 o'clock.
But you did 4 different bakes in inverted
We did,
commas.
yeah.
Well, some of them were baked. They weren't all cakes, though, were they? So
Yeah,
what were the 4
none of
things
them
that
were
you made?
cakes, Dad.
Exactly, yeah.
Everyone keeps saying, Eden, what's cakes? And I'm like, I haven't got any cakes.
You haven't got any cakes, but you have got bakes.
Yeah.
So what were the bakes, not cakes, that you made?
So we began making chocolate truffles, but you have to chill them overnight. And so we only made the first part of that. And then we also made shortbread, banana bread, and drumroll please.
Drumroll, please.
Well, I'm trying to remember what the last one was. Flapjack.
Tell you what, I was so impressed with your shortbread.
Thank you.
And I mean, all of it was great, but the
Thank
shortbread
you.
I think is hard to get right. And you both did an amazing job on that.
Yeah. It was so floury, Dad. We thought it was, we'd like added too much flour, but then I tried a bit of it.
You all had
and
a
it was,
very jolly time.
Yeah,
though,
it
didn't
was
you?
so fun. We listened to the Encanto soundtrack the entire time.
I know, yeah, so great. So,
It was really fun.
oh, well, lots more things for us to talk about. We will pass over to Belle in a second. And then after that, we will take a quick break and then we'll be back with Asha to talk about lots of other things in part 2.
Okay.
So here is Belle. Okay, I'm sitting here with Belle.
Yeah.
And what are we going to talk about today?
My seeds and football.
Oh, good one. So shall we start with your seeds?
Yeah.
So you're growing 2 types of seeds, I think,
Yeah.
on the windowsill.
Yeah.
What's the first one?
The bean one.
Beans, and these are special monastic cocoa beans, and we're growing them in something special.
In
In a glass.
Yeah, in a glass.
And why are we growing them in a glass?
Because otherwise you can't put the water in.
Yeah, and by growing them in the glass, so we got some like tissue paper behind them, haven't we?
Yeah.
And what were we going to see happen?
It sprout.
Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've got some beans growing, and then you're also growing in an egg box
Yeah.
in their own special little things of compost.
Yeah.
What are you growing?
Peas.
Peas, and I think these are from a Mud and Bloom box
Yeah.
that we'd never used up. We used to subscribe to Mud and Bloom, and so what did you have to do for the peas? You got an itchy eye.
No, it's
So how did you grow them, or how have you started them off anyway?
well. Basically, we just put got them out and wetted them, and then they started growing, and then basically we put the seeds in when the holes.
Okay, yeah. So you wetted the little compost balls
Yeah.
because were they dry to start with?
Yeah.
So you had to soak them,
And then they started to get a bit squishy.
and then what did you do with the pea seeds, which are just peas, dried peas?
Yeah, we just pressed them in, and then squished it together and then opened it a bit more and then covered it over with the compost.
And how often are you checking if they need watering?
Every breakfast time.
Yeah, pretty good. So that's part of your seed growing.
Yeah.
Which is going towards our RHS School Gardening Award. And then on Tuesdays, you go to football up the road.
Yeah.
So tell me about some of the skills you've been learning at football.
All
what are some of
right.
the things you have to do, the exercises?
So, there's... I don't actually know what this one is.
What's the step over one?
So that's called step overs. And you have to try and do it while you're kicking the ball, so then you bounce over it.
Okay. And is there one between your legs and you look like a funny animal?
A penguin.
Oh, and what do you have to do with the penguin?
So you like kick it to side to side, and then and like a penguin's legs.
Okay. So step over penguins. Any other ones you can remember?
No, not step over penguins.
Step overs and penguins.
Yeah, and then there's toe taps.
Toe taps. Oh yeah.
So you have to put your toes on the ball as you tap them.
Oh, that's pretty good. Well, that's excellent. Well, should we get back to the rest of the show?
Yeah.
Okay. See you in a sec.
Bye.
Bye.
You're listening to the Home in Matters podcast.
Okay, we're back.
We are back.
We're here with
Our
Asher
guest.
Yeah.
and Bear.
Bear is the second
Woof
best.
bear! Woof bear!
Bear's not going to say anything. Oh, he's jumping off.
He's coming up to me now.
Okay, and
There we are, he's on me.
so lots of things to talk about. Ash, you're looking really different. Why is that?
Because my hair's been cut.
For the first time in like 100 years, you've changed your hairstyle because you used to have it really long, didn't you?
I did, and still kind of like it that way.
But it does look amazing right
I
now.
like it both ways.
So that was a really brave decision.
Thank you.
What helped sweeten the decision for you?
By getting £30 to spend on Lego.
Pretty good. So what have you chosen with that? By the way, this is not for every haircut. This is just because it was a big change of style for you.
Yeah.
What have you chosen to get?
2 Lego Ninjago sets.
Pretty awesome. They might come even as we're recording. You never
I'm
know.
waiting for them right now.
If Bear
They're
barks,
supposed to arrive today.
they are supposed to arrive today.
Yeah.
So also, you've been really enjoying a new app on your
Yeah.
phone, haven't you?
Yeah.
What's it called?
Duolingo.
Yeah. Oh, you're reading it. I've remembered Spanish. So what kind of things do you have to do on the Duolingo Spanish app?
You have to learn Spanish. You have to learn Spanish.
You have to learn.
Yeah, but how?
By it does things in English or Spanish, and then you have to teach the things in the other language. So if it was how do you say please, then it would be por favor. I think that's please anyway.
Okay, so they give you choices, do they? You work out what it
does
is.
por favor mean? And
Yeah.
so then I'll write please. I think por favor
Yeah,
means
no, that's
please.
right. Yeah,
That's good.
por
Okay,
favor.
then.
Por
It's
favor.
good. Yeah, because I learned it on there.
Now, one of the things we've been studying is World War II, and then we're going up to more recent history. And one of the famous figures we've been studying is
Winston Churchill.
Winston Churchill. And you've both been reading books about Winston Churchill. So, Eden, what's your one called?
Never Give In.
Never Give In. Okay. And Asher, what's the book you've been reading that's
Winston-
not called The Marmalade Cat?
Yeah, it's not called.
A cat called Marmalade. It's not called
yeah,
that.
everyone keeps thinking it's called
What's
that.
it called?
Because your mummy are both called. Okay, then Winston and the Marmalade Cat.
And what is that
Okay,
about? Is it a true story?
Winston Churchill. No.
Oh.
Sadly. That might be a true story. Not sure.
Ash, don't tell me what happens because I want to read it.
Oh, okay. Well, we won't tell you what happens, but it's good. What this illustrates is
what
that.
happens.
But what this illustrates is that we have lots of different books that we're reading. Mummy's been doing a read aloud as well, hasn't she? But you've also got your own books that you've been reading on the different
Yes.
topics.
Yeah.
So that's been really, really good. Oh, and just in your spare time, Ash, what the book series that you've really enjoyed in the past is called
The Imagination Station.
And you're rereading them all again, aren't you? So what? And these are like, it's like time traveling into the past, isn't it?
Yeah. And that's the Imagination Station.
Because you're imaginating. No, imagining.
Yeah. One of them has a dragon in it.
Pretty good. Because it's imagination. Yeah. What book are you on? How many books are there? Do you know?
I think there's 23 or 22 or 24.
I thought that was
Okay,
26.
more than 20.
I don't know. Oh yeah,
More
the
than
board is
20.
26.
And what number are you up to at the moment?
The number came out weird.
Yeah. What one are you reading right now?
Number 8.
Number 8.
I'm rereading them.
Rereading number 8. So we'd really recommend that. Those are great books for reading on your own. Hasn't it been so windy?
It really has.
Oh, it's been so windy.
Storm Dudley, then Storm Eunice, then Storm Franklin.
I know.
Who knows what will happen next?
There's something called the Storm Beginning of Sea. What's the Storm Beginning of Sea called?
Don't know.
I can't remember. Yeah,
I wanted to. I think it's because I think it should have been called Storm Cyclop.
I know. Yeah, imagine they had really dramatic names like Storm Disaster,
Storm Furious.
Storm Furious, Storm Fear. Yeah. Well,
Storm Awful.
Thankfully, Storm Arwen was really damaging for us, wasn't it? Like we lost the pear tree and the greenhouse, but thankfully we haven't had any damage from Storm Dudley or Storm Eunice or Storm Franklin.
Other than just twigs blowing down.
Yeah, but I did have to do one thing, didn't I?
You did.
In advance. What did I do in advance for the chicken run, Ash? Can you remember?
Taking its roof off.
I took the roof off. The roof of our chicken run is big polythene corrugated sheets, and I took them all off so they didn't break.
Yeah, Daddy, this water run have a name for there's a name for Storm the B one. It's been called Storm Beetroot.
Storm Beetroot. Imagine that.
Storm Beetroot coming to you in cinemas near you.
Now we it's still quite windy because Storm Franklin's coming through, but this morning we went out to one of our little local spots called the Dingle. So here's a quick recording of us at the Dingle. Right, we are out and about.
We are.
Where are we?
The Dingle.
Which is a nearby little wooded area, and we did some predictions before we came out about what might be the same from when we last came, like before Christmas, and what might be different. So can anybody remember some of the predictions?
I can think of one.
Yeah.
And then some more litter might be gone.
Yeah, more litter. Eden, what about you thinking? The river?
So the river would be more flooded because there's been lots of rain.
Yeah.
And then there's also lots of branches blown down because of the storms.
And look, we're literally standing by a tree that's blown down.
Where?
Just here, literally on the ground.
Yeah.
We're picking some litter up. Well, that's like a tree trunk. What were some of the other predictions about? Because something we saw in the summer, we saw lots of, and we picked some.
Weeds. Wild garlic.
And so, is it starting to grow?
Yeah.
But what was, you noticed something about the wild garlic?
Let me put this in.
You noticed something about the wild garlic right by the river?
The wild garlic right by the river, it was all muddy and with like dried mud on it. And so I think the river had flooded and then got down again a bit.
Yeah, and so that was on this morning's video that we watched, this week's video from Exploring Nature with Children. It was about comparing what might be different and what might be the same.
Yeah.
We've seen some snowdrops and daffodils starting to come out. Oh yeah, look at all of this. There's lots of branches down. Should we keep walking? And we're picking up some litter. Those are really old and rotten, you can tell, can't you? Yeah, right. Oh, and what else is on the water course? What else is different? Like where the outflow?
Oh yeah, it was all clogged up.
Yeah. Right, should we keep going?
Yeah.
It's super breezy. Bye. I don't know who named it.
Okay.
Bit of a strange name.
It's a bit of a strange name. Yeah. But we really enjoyed our trip out, didn't we?
We did.
We picked up a whole bag full of litter.
We did.
Yeah.
Well,
And-
you did.
And that man said thank you. Oh, and what did we bring back that was really interesting?
Oh yeah, we found some bird.
Yeah, the litter wasn't very interesting, but there was something else interesting that wasn't litter.
Some birch bark.
Some birch bark, because
And a red leaf.
we noticed that, and a red leaf, because we noticed that the silver birches, their bark was peeling a little bit.
Yeah.
And so we're drying it out. What did it remind us of?
The birch bark house.
If you've never read the Birch Bark House series, they are really, really good.
Yeah, we need to
they're
read
really
them again,
good
Daddy.
counterpoint to Little House on the Prairie, which we also love, but it's important to have the voice, an alternative perspective than just the settlers. But Yeah, the Native Americans in that story, what did they make with birch bark?
They made their houses.
Yeah, like tents.
And there's a main character called Omis Caius, and she has a little brother called Little Pinch.
Yeah, really, really good. So very much recommend those books. Moving on, you all went on a fantastic trip to the National Memorial Arboretum the other day. What sticks in your mind from your trip there? Because you spent like all day there.
Yeah, it was so good. Honestly, it was amazing there.
What kind of things did they have there?
Play areas.
Play areas, yeah. But don't they have lots of memorials for different things?
Yeah, sculpture memorials.
And what kind of things are they commemorating?
Like the war and efforts people made, like the prisoners of war, and also some things that aren't war, people who have died in service of the army or the navy.
Yeah.
The navy, not the
Yeah.
navy.
The navy.
Navy.
What do you remember, Ash,
About what?
about going to the National Memorial Arboretum?
The parks?
Okay. Was there a big... Mirabelle told me there was a big stick man
Yeah.
from like...
Daddy, I told you that.
Yeah, and Mirabelle agreed.
Cool.
So what... Stickman's from like Julie Donaldson book, isn't it? But,
Yeah.
So what
And
was it? Was he just in the play area?
No. He was at the end of a Stickman Trail.
Oh, okay.
So it was actually at the start.
Yeah.
Of Stickman Trail.
Or the end.
So that was the beginning.
Daddy. Yeah, he's supposed to be a tiny twig, not a giant oversized monster.
Yeah.
Glowy eyes, and he looks like he has glowy eyes from far away.
Oh, wow.
It was kind of creepy.
Was it?
It was.
Oh. So...
But once up close, he wasn't so creepy. But it was really hard to sit on him.
Oh,
Because his
really?
knee was so high.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Gosh.
I didn't find it hard.
Because his knee was like...
Well, would you recommend it for people to go?
it was so good. And it
I
was
love
free
the
entry
parks.
apart
Do you
from
think?
parking.
Do you think we'll go again?
Yes,
Probably.
definitely.
Yeah, it was so good. Okay.
Yeah.
And Daddy, there was this one memorial, right? So they had one of the Christmas trees, but there was also one of a horse. And there was this beautiful river, and it was so lovely there. It wasn't just like rows of big black memorials in uninteresting shapes. It was so beautiful.
Oh, wow. Well, I'm really looking forward to going. I had to work, sadly.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things we've been waiting to do until I had a day off work, because actually Mummy's working, we were sent a fantastic book by a really lovely publishing company called the Be Small Publishing Company, and called the Coding Activity Book. And it was gifted to us to have a try and have a review. And it's all
really
about...
good.
Yeah, we're working our way through it. It's all about learning to think like a coder without needing to go do screen time. So what did it remind us? What kinds of things are like codes that we already follow?
Baking, reading.
Yeah, so a code, like a weights and measurements is the code. The program is the recipe. What's the computer? As in the doer?
Me.
Yeah, the chef. And what's the output?
Food.
Yeah, so good. And then we thought of some ideas of things that we would want computers to solve, like apps. What you thought of loads, Ash. What was one of yours?
A drain people's memory app.
Oh, yeah, that sounds a bit dramatic. Wasn't there one involving ninjas?
Yeah, a help you become a ninja app.
Help you become a ninja app. That's really good.
Shall I tell you all
What-
the others?
Yeah.
There's only a few more. A control what you dream app.
Yeah.
A get you to magic portals app. Yeah, and an X-ray vision app.
That sounds so good. What was your app, Eden?
Mine was like lightning bolt tech. Learn to do anything, but most of the time I just spent designing the front of the app.
Yeah, it sounded so good. So then we thought, so the book's really good about thinking like a coder. So you break things into chunks, don't you? Mm-hmm. And then you think about the information that's in there. So you thought about what were some of the chunks for when we make our podcast?
So you write on the scrap piece of paper in biro. They didn't actually put in biro.
What do I mean?
It's just type of pen.
About our plan, like
So you-
roughly plan.
So you plan the content, yeah. What's the
Roughly.
next stage?
Then you record it.
Yeah.
And then you edit it.
Okay, so those are the big chunks.
Yeah.
But then there'll be more detail underneath, which would
Yes.
be,
Daddy,
work out
more
what
detail.
episode you're in, to think about what's in the first and second half,
Yeah.
record it using this app.
Daddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was another app. I brought in more detail.
Yeah.
It's not actually written on a piece of paper, it's written on some old card.
Yeah, it's on a bit of a back of envelope.
Yeah, the back of an envelope.
So then you start to think about variables. So the idea is like a bucket of sand. to make a sandcastle? What's some of the instructions? How do you know when to stop filling the bucket of stand up?
When it starts.
When it's full. Yeah. And if you were brushing your hair to untangle it, you would brush it until it was untangled. Yeah.
Not until it goes really frizzy.
Yeah. So there's lots of stuff in there, and then bits we're going to work on are about loops and looking at patterns and things like that.
Yeah, but we haven't done that bit yet.
But we would
good.
We are really enjoying it. So thanks so much, the Be Small Publishing Company, for sending it over. We put a post about it on Instagram, so do check it out. And I've certainly learned something about coding through it.
What have you learned?
About just thinking about like a coder, thinking about chunking. I found that really helpful.
Interesting.
Well, we've covered an awful lot.
Oh, Dad, look at Bear.
I know.
He's so adorable.
We do love. It has been National Love Your Pet Day, hasn't it, this week?
Yeah.
Yesterday. So we do love our doggy Bear.
We
love all of our pets.
Including all of our chickens.
We especially love our chickens.
And our pet meal. I've heard of some pets who don't love our pet meal.
Yeah, our mealworm farm. we don't love them in the same way.
Yeah,
I think.
I don't love them at all.
Well,
they're very gross.
On that note, we would love to hear from you about your pets, or about coding, or about
the clubs you go to,
your gardening plans, all of these things. All of the details to get in touch are coming up. Meanwhile, thanks so much for following along. You can follow us on Instagram, and we will see you next time. We won't see you, but we'll be back next time.
You can hear us again.
You can hear us again next time.
Bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to the Homemade Matters podcast. We love hearing from you, so email us to homemadematters@gmail.com. Follow us on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter and Facebook at Homemade Matters, and visit our website at www.homemadematters.co.uk. If you're enjoying the show, please leave us a review wherever you listen, like Apple Podcasts, Stitcher or Spotify. Thanks for joining us, and enjoy your homemade journey this week.
They say absence makes the heart grow fond. Well, I've grown quite fond of you. Some people may think you're strange, but I think I'm strange too. It's raining outside, and it's raining inside too. I wanna go home, place where I'm known, and where I know you. Walk familiar streets.